Welcome back to another show of The Office Podcast with your host with the most, Mr. Jay Kuza. And myself, Nicole. Today, we have a really special guest who's going to tell us some of the really dark secret that these 35 plus men are using that I'd like to know all about. Mr. Josh from NuLife.
Hello, how are you? Pleasure to be here. So I'm excited to tell you, I don't know about how many secrets they are, but there's definitely a lot of nice things that for males and females that we have, certainly as we age.
Okay,
and
I'm
certainly
excited.
Abilities to.
Should I answer that?
I think Josh will go into it.
So I wanted to ask you, how did you start like as a child? Like, did you always want to do what you're doing now?
No, I mean, I would say that certainly came up in a family that had entrepreneurial spirit, definitely go-getters, always wanted to do something exciting, but that obviously changed as age takes on, right? The things that you aspire to are changing. You never know where it's going to take you. Mm-hmm. So, certainly my youngest thought process was I wanted to be a stockbroker, simply because I followed in the footsteps of my father. Who was on the exchange floor. So I actually grew up on the exchange floor as a young kid back in New York. But as time changed, I did different things. Sales always became something I was interested in. And so, it led me to medical sales and led me into that field ultimately.
What was your first job?
God, my first job was probably...
That was only about 10 years ago. So.
Yeah, only 10 years ago. It was probably washing cars.
Oh my God. Washing cars.
Listen, you got to do what you got to do.
No, it's just we've had so many people. It's like delivery or washing cars. Like there's such a connotation.
And then from there, I made the bagels. I worked in a bagel store for many years. I did anything to learn. I enjoyed, being in places where you can actually learn new skills. I'm a guy, I went to school, but I'm a guy who learns when you're actually doing.
Right.
And you see the benefits and, from one stepping stone to the next, really. From then being I was in the nightclub industry for a long time as a bartender for many, many years. Where at? Let's see. I opened up Space. I opened up Nocturnal. I worked at, probably my last stint was at Mint and for a short time and Park West. So
Well, Space alone is kind of scary to know.
I did 6 years there.
Wow.
So
he goes, I did 6 years.
I did 6 years. Listen,
which means, did you ever go home in 6 years?
Not often.
I believe
and
it.
I did 4 years at Nocturnal, so it was a long bid. But while doing those things, I worked lots of fun.
Was it lots of fun?
Lots of fun. A lot of fun. But I always worked two jobs. So that was my night job, and there was always a day job. And the day job typically was either in some type of sales environment, whether it was in mortgages, real estate, and
so you went up the high of 2007, 2008?
I did. And that's actually what led me into medical sales.
Okay.
So I worked in the mortgage business for a few years. I ran an office. We had a very large office. And when the kind of world blew up, I needed a job.
Wow.
And so looking for jobs back then for the older people like us, remember Craigslist? For the younger people who have no idea what that is, I actually found a job in Craigslist. And so when I went for this job, I really didn't understand what it was about. This was in the age management field, and this was working with physicians, helping patients to slow down the aging process through different modalities. Ultimately, it was a sales position. Didn't understand it for the most part, but I needed a job. I needed pay, and I took the job. And so kind of developed from there. I ended up working with about 28 different physicians around the United States, helped thousands of patients. In my 4.5 years that I was with this one particular company, worked and treated with the doctors, probably close to 1,000 patients.
Where did the passion come from of wanting the aging process to slow down?
Well,
the Space days?
Well, I mean, certainly maybe a little bit, but actually, what was right in the forefront to it is that, so we would meet patients that were in generally good health. Okay. But they were starting to notice many things that were happening to them as they're aging, from lack of energy, cognitive function, sleeping patterns, low sex drive, putting on weight, all these different things that were just slowing them down. And so once they began the programs with us, I saw this immediate change with patients. And that immediate change was pretty spectacular. This is not snake oil. This is real science and real medicine done by real physicians. And so when done properly, what I noticed was people who were ultimately feeling terrible, maybe about themselves, switched completely. I had patients that would come in very kind of depressed and dismissive, and all of a sudden their whole world would turn around based on balancing hormone levels, based on taking the correct supplementation, based on getting
what their body's depleted of.
Exactly. And so that's kind of how this whole trajectory of where within the age management and my passion for it, because I actually saw the changes. These were real changes. And so you can really, be a part of that. And these patients stayed with me for as long as I was there. And actually, funny enough, so I've been in this business now about 15 years. I still have probably a handful of patients that are with me today.
Wow.
15 years later, who started with me in my original position. And once I took off and went and built my own company, they followed. And so did all the doctors. So 3 of my physicians that I worked with followed me to my company. And so that fuel of helping people and being on the programs myself, I mean, I've been on testosterone now going on 25 years.
Is it true that if you start too early, you don't keep producing it yourself? Or is it one of those things where it's okay to always get a kick because at one point you can, well,
it's a great question. There's really 2 parts to that, right? Most men in their 20s don't need testosterone. They have
but they want it.
No, they have it. They got plenty of it. They have plenty of it. Now, there's a different side of actual hormone replacement therapy who's truly needed because of depletion, and let's call it steroid or bodybuilding.
Okay.
Very different.
Okay.
So if you're in your 20s and there really isn't a deficiency, what you're doing is you're adding to the body more testosterone or more other types of anabolic steroids that ultimately aren't great for the body, right? So that can create adverse side effects, such as many, as we call it, roid rage and things of that nature, or just shutting down natural production, which is the worst thing you could do. And that does happen for guys in their 20s that abuse things. But when we're talking about what we do, which is fully medical and fully science-backed, this is hormone replacement. You are staying on these medications and these programs for the rest of your life. And I know that sounds scary to people, but the flip side is how it completely changes your life. And in the end, we're only using therapeutic dosages that are going to get your levels back to where they were when you were in your early 20s. So ultimately, nobody wants to get off because they feel phenomenal. And I mean for males and females.
So women take this as well.
100%. So in the end of the day, males and females share the exact same hormones. We all do. Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and many others. It's the levels that we share them at that are different. So women need testosterone. Women need progesterone. Males need testosterone. We need estrogen or controlling of estrogen. So we share that. And that's why within our company and our practice, we equally treat males and females very differently. And you have to be an expert in that, but we're treating both.
What's been the hardest thing about being an entrepreneur?
Hardest thing. That list is very long.
We got time.
I would say that probably it was interesting. I had a friend of mine who's very successful, entrepreneur, CEO of multiple companies, took them public, just a real successful, wealthy guy. And he said to me one day, he goes, "You're a CEO, correct?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You know what you really are?" I said, "What?" He goes, "You're a fireman." I said, "Why am I a fireman?" He goes, "Because every day you're going to put out fires." And that's really what it is in the end of the day, is ultimately everything stems from the top, so to speak. And you try to build a team and you try to get, levels to everything. And that takes time, right? And especially if you're not only an entrepreneur, but especially if you are a smaller business, right? You're not funded. I'm self-funded. There's no going to VCs and different things like that. So every step that you do, you're putting out fires each day, for good or for bad, which, and so I would say that's probably one of the hardest things, is that every day it's a new challenge, but you have to accept the challenge, and you have to kind of have the mindset of whatever, if I get kicked in the balls today, tomorrow's another day, move on. I'm never going to die from it. It's never going to
be the end of you.
Be the end. So I would say that's probably one of the biggest things, but I don't really think about it that way as the biggest challenge. I'm so used to it at this point. What's the next challenge coming up?
When things are too quiet, you're like, oof.
Yeah, once you hit a level of success, you're just like, all right, someone's going to knock me off. So what's next? What am I waiting for? And that's a continued, game. And another thing is just with being an entrepreneur, you have to be able to take those hits. The successes are few in compared to the amount of hits that we take.
Absolutely.
So we have to be able to deal with that, move forward with it, not let it get us down. I've been on the balls of my ass, balls of my feet is the balls of my ass, but many times. It is what it is.
Every time you've gone back up, what's been your biggest, I don't want to say you're ambitious, but what's been your biggest moment of, like, I got to do this? Is it pride? Is it ego?
No. It's never pride, never ego.
Okay.
I don't care about any of those things.
Okay.
I don't have any of that. It's basically just, there's no other answer.
There's no option.
There's no option. So, am I competitive? I don't think I am. Others will tell me that's not true, but I'm competitive more so with myself. I'm just not going to stop. I need to keep getting to where I want to be. And when I find that success, and when I get to that success, that's one level. Now we got to go to the next. Meek Mill makes a great line that he says, there's levels to this shit. And the bottom line is you're constantly striving for another level. And throughout my career and throughout my last 14 years, or 12 years, let's say at NuLife Institute, it changes all the time. Where one time I realized, all right, I guess this is it. I'm going to have my one location. I'm going to do this, and I'm doing well, and that's okay. And then things change, and you're like, nah, this isn't over. We're going to continue to make this bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's kind of the trajectory that I'm in right now with growth. And outside, once we got out of COVID, I was like, that's it. It's on. So different things like that happen in your life, right? Where you think you have one mindset one day, and then something happens where it changes the whole trajectory again. And that's life. So you got to be able to take those hits.
So NuLife, when it started, what was the vision for the company when you started, and where is it now?
Well, certainly.
What was your focus then? What was your focus? What's your focus now?
So when I built the main location, that's Ted Museum Park in downtown Miami, beautiful location. That was the ultimate goal. Have this beautiful location that really anyone could come to because it's just easy in, easy out. When we first started too, and even now, 50% of my patients do not live in Miami. They're all over the world. They fly in, see our doctors, and we can treat them remotely over many different areas. And so they'll fly in once, twice a year, get medications, get follow-ups. They have direct lines of communication with their medical staff, their doctors. And so that was the ultimate goal, is like, just keep bringing them in through that idea. And everybody always asks me, well, when are you going to open up another location? We want you here. We want you there. And I was like, no. I don't want that. I'm not ready for it. And then after COVID was the catalyst for me. COVID, when we thought, or I thought, I said, oh shit, are we going to make this?
How was COVID for you?
I mean, COVID, thank God for COVID, that because we're a medical facility, we're a concierge medical facility, we didn't have to close. Now, on one aspect, we were still able to treat patients all over the world remotely. We still were able to get them medications. So we could keep moving. The flip side and the downside to all of it was bringing in new patients, right? So there's two sides to the business. We have our recurring business. We're a subscription model in the end of the day. Those patients, we lost some, but we were able to keep a lot. But the new business, you couldn't get in the new business. It was very little, but we survived, and we, staff stayed with us, and we survived. And that was, to me, it was like, again, we made it through. And the moment that kind of COVID let out and things had changed, I started thinking to myself, I was like, that's it. I got just basically another fire in my belly to say, you know what? We need more locations. There are too many people that fit our avatar that are not going to come to Miami, but that want our niche service. And so that's when it kind of started, and I opened 2 locations simultaneously. So we have our Oasis Fit location.
Go big or go home, huh?
Go big or go home. I have 4 more that are in the works. They haven't started yet, but I already know where they're going to be. And it's kind of that move for what's next. So we did Hollandale, which is Oasis Fit, and we did Boca Raton, which is our other location. That was probably by the time they opened, it was about 8 months ago. So, they took a while, whatever it was, a year and whatnot to build and whatnot. And the next steps are Jupiter. The next steps will be Naples, Sarasota, Tampa. And we'll continue. I've already been asked by, Texas. They want me in Texas. We'll see.
Well, I
One
believe
step
it.
at a time.
I think, let me ask you, because you've been in Miami for a while.
25 years.
Space must have, taught you a lot of good lessons in life. So for guys that go to you, what do they go for?
So it's a number of, it's really a number of different things. And you automatically people think when they think of hormone therapy or they think of the word testosterone, they think of muscles and sex drive, right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of the connotation, absolutely. Right?
Yeah.
And so the age group of our typical avatar, our typical patient has changed over the years. When I first started in the business, it was probably 40 to 45 to almost 45 and above. Nowadays, since the world has changed and I think the younger generation has changed, now it's really 30 and above.
Really?
So you're getting a bigger span if we're talking about men that come in and saying, hey, I'm going through changes here and what do I do? Not all of it is about sex drive. Not all of it is, and not every guy wants to be ripped and have muscles. Not every guy can be able to do that.
Absolutely.
And so you get guys that are asking about certainly weight loss, cognitive function, sleeping, anxiety, depression. You're talking about memory, sleeping.
How does this help with depression and sleeping? Because men definitely don't like to talk about that. And I can't imagine them even wanting.
Well, just think about it this way. Hormones control everything in the body. And this is one of the things that people don't realize. Most people just automatically go hormones, women. And that's it. They don't think about males and females, we share the exact same hormones. So when your hormone levels are depleted, that's also controlling dopamine and serotonin levels. So the lower those levels go and your testosterone levels are sinking, guess what happens? You're upset, your depression can happen. Same thing with estrogen. So if your estrogens are too high for males, you get very emotional. So it's all about control and the control of where the baseline should be. And so we have plenty of men that'll come in and they have not just one symptom, it's multiple symptoms, because after the age of 30, guys their hormone levels are starting to deplete, and it gets worse and worse as we age. Different than females. Females actually don't deplete until about 40, 45, believe it or not. So the women that come in that are below 45, it's different. It's typically weight loss. It's typically adrenal fatigue. It's typically they've been on birth control medication, and that's messed up their body.
Absolutely.
So there's different things that we will navigate through that before they get to premenopausal. For guys, 30, it's like a brick wall that hits.
Really?
Oh yeah. It's called andropause. Just like menopause, andropause. It's a real medical condition.
Really?
Yep. And so that's why, you talk about, if you heard guys going through a midlife crisis, what does he do? He gets a hot sports car or whatever because he's feeling low about himself. He needs a confidence booster, all those things, so that starts happening in your 30s. So we are starting to see more and more guys in their early ages coming to us, and their levels don't lie. The data doesn't lie. And so they're symptomatic and the data's there.
How long does it take them to kind of feel good again?
The effects?
Yes.
Ultimately, I would say the medications for certain hormones are fast acting and other hormones are a little bit slower acting. So it depends on the hormones. You can certainly feel changes, definitely on a testosterone program, 6-7 weeks, maybe sooner, because your levels are jumping fast. And so from there, guys that, again, going back to sex drive, maybe they don't have erections anymore. All of a sudden they're waking up with a morning erection like they did
in their 30s.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Remember, stress, weight, levels that are just out of balance, you're going to have erection issues. And so they'll start feeling that, or they wake up in the morning and they have a pep in their step that they haven't had in a long time. They spring out of bed. Their mind is clear. There's no morning fog. The energy levels are up. That's all from their master, or I shouldn't say master, but their male hormone testosterone. Now, there's many other things that we do, from peptides to human growth hormone to different amino acids that also go in.
Love Fitbit pre-workout. Doesn't give me the jitters, gets me going for my workout, and keeps me going all the way to the end. I definitely recommend it.
Reach for Bip.
HGH is what people started taking years ago that had them looking like they were 10 years younger.
100%.
Yeah.
HGH is the number one medication out there.
Yeah.
It is the master hormone. HGH is the master hormone. So we are experts in prescribing it. We are experts in monitoring it, and that's what's key. It is fully legal. Most people don't even know that.
Why do you say monitoring it? What needs to be monitored there?
Everything needs to be monitored. Remember,
on a monthly or quarterly basis?
So typically within our programs, we're doing labs, follow-up labs, anywhere from 3 to 6 times a year. So if you can imagine, because we are a concierge facility doing preventative care, we do more follow-up and monitoring than
your primary.
Forget primary does nothing. You go once a year if you're lucky. You only go if you're sick. They do very basic lab panels. We are watching you from every step of the way. So we typically will catch anything that comes up that on our radar before anyone else will. That's why patients come to us. They come to us for the monitoring. They come to us for the expert care and the staff that continually keeps them on track.
What is HGH and what does it do?
So human growth hormone, that's what HGH stands for. That is your master hormone. So think about it like this. When we were born, our HGH levels were super high, and the level could be in the thousands, 1,500, 2,000. By the time we get to even 30 or 40, the level may be at 100. Okay. So now the difference is, because it's your master hormone, what the medication has done is it has helped as a baby to give us that glow, give us all that water. When you touch a baby's skin and it's almost like jello, that's all from high levels of growth hormone. Their skin is perfect. They heal very easily. They fall into a deep sleep. Why? All children fall into a deep sleep because their growth hormone levels are so high, and they can fall deep into a REM sleep. So as we age, all those things go away. Growth hormone also helped us to grow. It's helping our bone growth. The pituitary is what is actually triggering bone growth and things of that nature. This continues to deplete as we age. So why does it happen as we age that we lose elasticity in our skin, or the skin droops? That's why people do fillers and Botox and things like that, because we lose all of that. So what we do with growth hormone is we are supplementing with real growth hormone to be able to boost your levels to where they would have been when you were in your 20s. And so by doing that, now all of a sudden collagen and water elasticity and everything in the skin starts to come back.
And people's personality, does it change?
No. Not on human growth hormone, certainly not.
Okay.
Listen, with hormones like anything else, I wouldn't say personality. I wouldn't call it that.
But the mood.
Mood.
Yeah,
mood. I would say mood. Mood gets better, happier.
Because if I had that pip in my step when I was 20,
Well, if we're talking about mood and just overall
feel
that
good.
Happy feeling,
Right.
100%. You're much more motivated. Your serotonin levels are firing. You're on point to be able to work and do what you need to do. That's the difference, that what these medications and these modalities bring back to life.
I love it.
And also allowing the body to rest, to recover, all these things that we need to do.
I feel like everybody after 40 has insomnia. Like, there's not a soul I know that's not like, I'm not sleeping. I'm like.
And why is that? Simply because for
crazy.
one of the basic things is your growth hormone levels are dropping, and you can't fall into a deep REM sleep at night.
So it's a deficiency.
It's deficiency.
Right.
It's all deficiency. In the end of the day, we're all going to get there. We all get there at different times. We all experience different symptoms of this, but we're all going to get there. Nobody's immune from it. Nobody's immune from getting older. No one's immune from death. It's just, how do we get there and have a better quality of life along the way? Bottom line, that's what we do. We don't, make you live longer. We're going to allow you to live a better quality of life. And that's the bottom line.
Better quality of life.
Because that's what it's about. Who wants to be, if you have the option to either feel better, look better, be happier, get to have the energy to spend time with your kids, be successful, why wouldn't you take that route?
Absolutely.
And that's what we can do through these different modalities.
Do you think that when people start with you, do you think they realize how quick their life is about to change?
I mean, we certainly give them expectations. I don't want to give them false expectations. I don't want them to understand this is an evergreen process. So as we go through this process, things are going to change. And over time, things are going to change again. This is not a set it and forget it, because as we age, the body changes. And so we need to roll with that as well. So just keep moving with us, keep doing what we need to do so you can keep seeing results and feeling it at your best. And honestly, cliche as it is, but living your best life.
I love it. You do more than that at the clinic.
Sure.
I saw that you had some machine that takes away fat. Talk to me about this machine.
So we have a class 4 laser. It's called the Eon. And the Eon came about I would say about a year and a half ago. I am not one for machines. I've never had machines in my office. That's more for the plastic surgery type of practices, and that's not us. But I found Eon when they first came out, and it just stood out like no other. It is touchless, it's robotic arm. It's a surgical robotic arm that comes over the area that you're looking to kind of contour the fat and burn that fat away. And sometimes 1 treatment, sometimes 2 treatments, but it is pretty amazing. It's pretty interesting. There's no, in some of the other machines that are out there, there's no cold bricks. There's no paddles that are on you.
I saw it. It's like nothing.
It's nothing.
It doesn't even touch you, I think.
It does not touch you.
Yeah.
It's literally a surgical robotic arm that will go over the area for 20 minutes. And just burns the fat underneath. And it can take up to 12 weeks for the fat to actually dissipate because it is not surgery. It's going out through the lymphatic system. And we've seen great results from it, phenomenal results. Especially you're using this type of machine for body contouring. If someone comes to us and they're overweight, we'll say this is not the machine for you. What we think you should do is our medical weight loss, which you'll be able to get very great results in, a short amount of time. And then when you're ready to contour, we can do that. But it's really for people who are looking to get rid of that extra pooch down here in the lower abdomen. Could be the flanks back here. Could be on the back of, what do they call it? The banana roll.
What do they call it?
On the butt. You don't even know? Well, they call it the banana roll. And so, so it's kind of underneath your butt cheek.
Got it.
And so all those different areas are extremely hard to target to lose the weight. So this machine will target that exact area.
That's amazing.
And burn it away.
That's
so
amazing.
It's pretty cool. It's very cool.
Yeah.
And it's not discomfort. There's really no pain. There's no discomfort. You're sitting there. Honestly, I've done the machine many times. I fall asleep because all you hear is the machine kind of beeping. And while it's working, blowing cold air on you, while there's a hot class 4 laser on you, I've fallen asleep many times.
Oh, wow.
Started snoring.
Oh, wow.
So it's we've had it for, like I said, about a year and a half, and we love it. It's awesome.
Super. I love it. I'm probably going to go use it.
That's what she asked.
Mm-hmm.
I got no patience.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Out of all the jobs that you talked about earlier, which is the one that you think prepped you the most for where you're at right now?
Space.
Well, I could certainly say I made the most money
at space.
Yeah, space and nocturnal. But
would it have been the one that, do you think they led to where you're at today?
Well, I think that, there is, in that world that we worked in, which is not your typical bartending.
You say world. We, but I never worked there.
No, I say me because there's those.
And Jay was just a regular.
He was just a regular. There's a group of people that have done this that is not your regular bartending person. This is not going to Rocco's Tacos and you bartend a 4-hour shift and this is bartending a 24-hour shift.
That's crazy.
This is nonstop, mayhem for 25. The longest thing I did was 36 hours. I did a 36-hour shift.
What?
Right? You know it, music conference. And you did that 7 days in a row. So it was marathon. And so, listen, it taught you to move, to hustle. It's a lot of money, and you don't stop. And that's just me. You don't stop. The hustle.
You think you got the hustle from there?
I think the hustle's in your blood, right? You're going to start from a little kid, whatever you did to make a couple of bucks, and the hustle always continues. It's either you have it or you don't, or you learned it. Sometimes the hustle is a learned behavior. It's a behavior that you picked up from maybe your father, your mother, whomever that you saw, that you're like, this is the only way to go.
Right.
And so,
because you don't see another option.
Yeah, that's it. And then you start to enjoy the hustle.
Have you enjoyed your hustle?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You left nothing on the table?
Certainly not there. Certainly not at any of those places. There was nothing else to give. It was time to literally, by the time I ended,
10 years.
I was like, I had enough. I'm done. Like, I don't want to be that guy behind the bar and I'm done.
Really?
Yeah. And listen, I had take nothing away from the guys that I know that were still there 10 years after I left. And I'm like, it was just, I needed to move on to other things. I had a great time. It was a great time for the age that I was.
You were getting to another level. There's levels to it all.
There's levels. So it was time to move on. And the hardest thing for most of those people in the nightclub business is to walk away from it because of the money. Because when I walked away from it, then guess what? I go back to making $10 an hour, and you hustle until the next step.
Right.
And so, but I mean, listen, it's all a stepping stone. You keep moving, you keep finding, the more you do, the more you look at other things differently, the more you pick up on other potential entrepreneurial type businesses and things like that. That's just what you learn along the way.
Considering your dad was a stockbroker, right? How different is your life towards his?
Well, he's not alive.
Right.
So sorry. Yeah, no, it's okay. So no, but what I mean by that is he was a hustler. I mean, he was extremely bright, skipped many grades, skipped college. They took him in onto the floor at 18, which was very unheard of back then. Ended up owning a seat. Again, very young, owned the seat. Some of that life overtook him too. It was a little bit too much. Did well for himself. And then it was time to kind of shift gears because of health. And went into another kind of position that ultimately was not probably the smart thing to do because it was high stress and whatnot. But it was the same thing. It was just smart, entrepreneurial, keep moving, don't stop, love what you do. And he was a sales guy. In the end of the day, he was a sales guy. And so that's what, if someone ever asks me, well, what do you do? I'm a sales guy. In the end of the day, I can sell. And I don't mean that in a negative connotation. I mean it in, I'm passionate for the things that I will sell, that I'll stand behind. I'm like one of those guys that literally, if I find something I like and it's got nothing to do with me other than I bought it, I'll literally sell it to everybody because I believe in it.
Right.
And this 100%, again, been on the medications, been a patient for 25 years. I live and die by it.
I love it. What's the future for NuLife?
Certainly just continue expansion. As
more locations,
continue to build. We have a niche business. Our niche business is we are concierge age management. Now, there are a lot of doctors. Any doctor can prescribe the medications that we do. But in the end of the day, it's about the quality of care, the monitoring that we do is so key to continued health and being happy. If you simply just get on medication, set it and forget it, and never check your levels, you're just a time bomb waiting to happen. And so we are all about quality of care, value for care, monitoring, and the expert physicians. And you have them on speed dial. You have your staff on speed dial. We are here to change your life. And that's what we do. And so through that is moving to more locations so we can get to more of our typical patient that's looking for us. We are not the $199 a month clinic. I don't like the word clinic. Clinic to me is kind of a downgrade on what we do. We are a medical facility. We are a concierge, age management, and really for health performance. Our goal is to, again, increase that quality of life.
Do you have a lot of athletes that go to you?
We have athletes that are now retired, right? They've been beaten up over their career and now they need to recover and same like everyone else, they're going through the same aging process. So I would say that we deal with a lot of athletes like that. They come to us, same thing in their 40s and 50s and realize, hey, I need some help. And we actually have a lot of different, I would say we have attorneys, lots of doctors, service providers, entrepreneurs. We have from just people who want value for care. They want to be able to call up their expert physician on the phone and say, hey, this is what's happening. And the doctors will make changes, do labs, whatever it takes to continue
So
success.
Guys call and they're like, I want to feel better. I want to perform better sexually. I need...
Same thing for women. So again,
women call you and say that?
Oh, absolutely. Women are the easiest that will, in the sense that will tell you, my sex drive is gone. I don't feel sexy anymore. I put on weight.
Might be with the wrong person. I just wanted to put it out there. No,
could be, but
one factor.
But at the end of the day, we all share those same kind of issues and symptoms that we deal with.
Final thought, just again, for you, because I see that washing cars was a job that you had prior, and a lot of people that came in here have had the same background. What do you feel about today, where we're at today, with people who are coming up, who want to get into the industry, who want to get into any type of business? do you think that those foundations, we're losing that now? Like people don't want to do that?
Yeah. I mean, the generations of today don't want to work. They're so used to.
Why do you feel that?
Well, why? I'm not, I think the world has just changed, obviously, with social media and different things that automatically they think that they can get to, I'll use her name, but Kim Kardashian type of lifestyle. There's only one way to get there. And she hustled too, but there's only one way to get there. You have to hustle. You have to work. You have to show value in what you do. One of the things that I say to all my employees, show me value in what you do and I will never let you go.
Make me irreplaceable.
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%. You want to make more money? Make it so I can never let go of you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what people miss. And I think most young people also, it's a very quick society to just say, I quit, I'm on to the next. Instead of putting your time in. No one becomes successful overnight. It's time and pitfalls and getting back up and all those things. You got to put your time in, So I think that is one of the things that I see as a detriment for younger generations.
So if you had any advice, look at that camera, to give the younger generation that doesn't want to wash cars, that doesn't want to pick up a phone, that doesn't want to do cold calls, and will say, I've done 10 calls, I and all 10 hung up on me. Okay. Okay.
God, that advice can get a little dirty right now.
Go for it.
No, I mean, listen, I would just say, there's one thing that I did when I was younger. I had an uncle. I had also my stepfather tell me, they're like, find your passion. Easier said than done when you're a young kid. Mm-hmm. What is that? Find something you love. That comes in time. Mm-hmm. And the only way you will find that is by doing something over and over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And so, because eventually you're going to find out that you love it. And so the money will follow. I always say that too. If you do things correctly and you do things right, you don't stop, eventually the money will follow. If you're doing it correctly, you're doing it ethically, you're doing it morally, and you want to help people, the money will follow. So don't worry about the money. Even though we all worry about the money and we want to be able to get it fast, forget that. Just hustle, work as hard as you can, make yourself invaluable. Someone will either recognize it, or if they don't, you will learn so many skills along the way that you'll make yourself invaluable on your own.
You heard that, everybody? Find your passion. And if you have a passion for looking good and feeling good, this is the man you want to talk to right here at NuLife Institute. Check them out. They're on the gram. You can send them a DM. Somebody will respond. You'll look better. You'll feel better.
Just look at you.
Josh. Yep. You're in good hands with Josh.